Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Mark Lyons, and I'm joined with Bob Gardner and Athena Chira, and we're here to talk about building resilience through a recession. And both Bob and Athena have been longtime Procore clients, and we're going to lean on them to see how they can help give us some advice on getting through these more difficult times. And I'd like to first start off, I guess, Athena, maybe introduce yourself, the company, and kind of the type of work that you folks do.
Yeah, so my name is Athena Chira, Athena Engineering. The name is not a coincidence. My parents started the company in 1984 when my mom was actually pregnant with me. So with that, they decided to name the company along with me, but I came first. So we are a mechanical HVAC and building automation design builder. So typically we're engaged in the front end during design and conception, but we're also really, our heart is in construction. And we work in complicated environments and largely occupied environments throughout Southern California. And our home base is here in Los Angeles, California.
Thanks, Athena. And Bob, go for it.
Yeah, Bob Gardner, Gardner Builders. We are a 10-year-old commercial construction company. We say that we happen to be a hospitality company that happens to be in the commercial construction space. We have culture hubs in Minneapolis, Minnesota, Duluth, Minnesota, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and then we have Gardner Builders US, which travels around the 50 states.
And what's kind of the standard projects that you guys do, Bob?
It varies depending on area where we are. We're different culture hubs, but for Gardner Builders Minneapolis, we started out as a commercial tenant improvement company, did a lot of commercial work, high-rise work. We've transitioned into doing ground up work, commercial. We've done retail. We've gone with certain clients and gone all over the country doing rebrands for gas stations and convenience stores.
Awesome, thanks. Well, we sourced a handful of questions from folks in our Procore community, and I want to just, I guess, jump right into them. I've known both of you for about a decade each now, and I know that within your communities, you're looked up to as the leading professionals in the construction industry, and I'm hoping the folks that are listening today can learn a lot from what you guys have to say. I'm going to jump. I've broken the questions down into kind of leadership and culture, how your work is being impacted, and more, I guess, operations. And I'll lean in with one of the heavier questions that we got, and it's on the leadership and culture side. And it's, in a season where business needs to adapt rapidly or go through a period of transformation in order to survive, how do you lead your organization in a way that inspires your people to embrace and champion this new vision? And I'll kick it off to you, Athena.
For us, first of all, I don't think there's any simple answer to that question, but for us, everything revolves around honesty and humility. And those two words have carried us through several recessions, 35 years worth of them. And I think we learned a long time ago that trying to hide the truth from your team and from the people that work with you on a daily basis is more damaging than really anything else that you can do. So from the very beginning, and this goes for the last recession as well as this one, from the very beginning, it is, kind of a buckle down mentality with lots of group meetings and conversations about what's going on. And from there, really, we take the suggestions from everybody at the table. And our number one, probably our number one rule that we have is we never overhire. And the reason we don't overhire is because we want to make sure that we can keep our people employed through thick and through thin, through good and through bad. So the first thing that we do if we start to encounter a slowdown is immediately cross-train. So people will change departments, people will jump over into other areas, help other places. And this sense of community immediately starts to develop amongst our team. And with that, it gives the leadership strength, right? Because if your people don't have confidence in what's going on, it's difficult to lead through any kind of change. So really for us, the honesty, humility, humbling ourselves and to our team, and then giving everybody opportunities to chip in, help, and learn. And then when things pick back up, that cross training becomes invaluable for the organization and for the people that work for us.
Well, thanks. And Bob, what's your take on the question?
I love Athena's answer. I think from our perspective, it's very, very similarly aligned. We are, we only have one goal as a company. We started in a recession. So we started in October 1st of 2010. So we were at the bottom of the recession. And we started with one goal, and that one goal is that that people who work here, when they show up, they feel valued, they feel challenged, and we provide an environment where they love to work. This latest recession is no different with that. So it starts with people first, and we're humble, but we're also vulnerable and authentic. I think we show up in a way that says we don't have all of the answers, and we're going to share information with you as we get it, and as things come real time, we're going to make real time decisions, and sometimes they won't be, they won't be well received by everyone, but we're going to do it with everyone in mind. The other really, I think, thing that with not having all of the answers is we reached out to our competitors and really just said, where are you guys with this? And how are you handling, specific to the pandemic, how are you handling this? And we compared notes and then brought that back and did twice weekly, all hands Zoom meetings where we took all of our field staff, all of our office staff, and everyone together would join on Zoom calls, and we would just give them a state of the state, dubbed Bob Talks.
You actually answered the second question I was going to pile on top of this one, which is, I mean, here at Procore, we have many methods of communication, from email to Slack to Zoom. Pick up the phone and call me. That works too. And I'm just curious, Bob, it sounds like you established a platform to talk to the team. Athena, what methods are you using to cascade these messages down throughout your organization?
Very similar to Bob. We started out with Zoom, moved it over to Microsoft Teams, and really built a collaboration hub around an all hands channel. So that way, when things happen or things occur, we kind of push it out through the all hands channel. We also do large group conference calls that can turn into absolute chaos, but it's awesome chaos sometimes. we are a unique company. And then also it's a matter of leadership, visiting job sites and being on the ground with the people that are in front of this pandemic on a daily basis. As Bob knows, we were labeled essential, even though that term in and of itself is problematic, because I think everybody's essential and everything they contribute is essential. But we, the majority of our work is in healthcare facilities. We also do a lot of work with the Department of Public Health for Los Angeles and laboratory facilities. So basically the thick of, the pandemic research. So there was a lot of fear in our field in the beginning because they were in front of this virus on a daily basis and around people who were sick. So it was listening to them and getting them every last possible thing they could need. And the way we did that was by me going to the job site, by the executive PMs going to the job site, and facing the problem with them. And there's nothing that, communication on all levels, digital, et cetera, is absolutely necessary, but also being boots on the ground and staring somebody in the eyeball is just as important to show them you're in it with them. And that's something we try to do all the time.
I guess another question that we received from the community on the leadership side of what have the more difficult decisions been that the two of you have had to make? And I guess the follow-up to that is, what helps you make those decisions, or who helps you make those decisions?
I'll jump in on that, Mark. I think we've got a leadership team. I think that the hardest thing is when you have your work is deemed essential and you have workers that are on the front lines out every single day working, putting work in place. And then you have families at home that are frightened to death about where we are with this. And you could go to work today and you could bring it home and somebody could, get very ill or die. And so those are conversations that we have that that are very disarming and say, we will meet you where you are. And so we really did a deep dive in saying, again, back to we don't have all the answers, and we're going to meet you. You're in the field working really hard. And so if you don't feel safe at any time, work is optional. So if you want to remove yourself from the situation, we'll work with you individually, one-on-one, to make sure that, that we're working with you and where your family is. No harm, no foul. We're going to put a plan together for you. We had 5 or 6 folks opt out, took a voluntary layoff until they knew exactly how they could re-engage with work in a safe manner. We also put in really stringent protocols. As Athena knows, construction is one industry that knew what PPE was before this happened. And so we added another layer of personal protection in COVID protocols. And that, I think those become difficult decisions just in knowing that people feel unsafe or unsecure, and then addressing that to hopefully make sure everyone feels good.
And Athena, I guess on your end, what have those challenging decisions that you've had to face, what have those been?
So much of what Bob said echoes true with us as well, quite honestly. We did the same thing. I think that's, what's paramount to a well-functioning organization is people who, we put our employees first. And it sounds like Bob did the exact same thing that we did. The first thing we did as soon as this started and stay-at-home orders began is sent out communications and phone calls to everybody that was out in the field and said, if you want to tap out for a little bit, you can tap out for a little bit with no penalty at all. And we'll do everything we can to make sure that you have a job to return to. We did have one employee who had a pre-existing condition and decided that he was going to tap out for a bit. After that, everybody else hung in. And it was quite humbling as an employer and as a person to see people, even here in our business as well, to see people that put the client, put the facility before themselves. So in turn, it was our job to make sure that they had every single last thing that they could ever want, down to a bunny suit, covered from top to bottom, zippered up from shoe booties all the way up to a head cover. But the challenge for us, quite honestly, was finding the PPE. So in that respect, what we did is we reached out to the minority-owned business community that we're a part of, and the women-owned business community, and found a phenomenal supplier that has been keeping us loaded up with respirators and masks and bunny suits and every last thing that the guys need. We put it together every 2 weeks with a giant box for every single guy to have. And that's the least that we could do, quite honestly.
I guess moving into the questions that are more on the kind of operation side of things, when trying to become recession proof, how are diversification ideas prioritized and decided on? And how do you know when the wrong decision was made and basically when to cut? And I'll let you kick that one off, Athena.
So we've lived through many recessions, and it's been interesting watching each one and the attendant panic that comes with each one. And this last one, we made this awful mistake of adding services in order to make up for lost revenue. So rather than doubling down and figuring out a new strategy around margin, around clients to pursue, around different win, no win strategies, we just kind of abandoned all of it and ran off into let's sell like 14 different types of things. And I think a lot of people make that mistake. And it's one that we literally didn't. I finally got rid of the last extra service that we had added on 2 years ago. Finally got rid of it. And I was like, that's it. And everybody's first instinct was to run over and go, no, we can say yes to that work. No, you cannot. You will say no. And if you don't say no, there will be arms around your neck in a threatening manner. And by the way, the person who said that was my father, who was trying to say yes to all of the work. So for us, the diversification strategy, that model for us revolves around tightening our win-no-win strategy, and really focusing on what we're winning at that point in time, who we're winning it with, the type of client we're winning it with, and then doubling down into the client pool that's part of that win-no-win strategy. And using that single tool alone helps us change the pipeline. And then it also assists in the diversification across, either laterally across the actual industry, into different clients within the same industry, or into adjoining industries that, do work similar to that particular client that we've had some success with. But my biggest fear, like for instance, right now, we are starting to get into grow house construction, and it's a booming industry out here. But not only is there grow houses, but there's also horticulture within the Central Valley. So we made the decision that we were going to bring on another controls line, which added value to our building automation department. But it actually was entirely just for plant and horticultural control. So we didn't change the model really. We added a different type of service that directly adjoined the type of industry we were already in, and added revenue and margin to those projects.
Got it. Okay, makes a lot of sense. How about you guys, Bob?
Yeah, I think one of the things is when things shift and your clients push pause, everyone is kind of looking around going, okay, now what? And so you take a few steps back and go, how do we meet our clients where they are? And what, as they put a get back to work plan together, what are they going to need? What are they going to want? We've got several Fortune 500 companies that we have actually built a program to do touch-free restrooms for them across the country. One's got 700 plus, another one's got 1,200 locations, and we've taken project managers and superintendents with excess capacity because projects got pushed, and they're now deployed to doing this work. So I think, one of our core values is nimble, and we look at each other and say, listen, somebody moved our cheese. Now we have to figure out how to continue to kind of feed the machine. And so you get creative, you get thoughtful, you ask questions, you listen, and then you try and put a plan together that answers those needs for the client.
Got it. Thank you guys both very much. That was, I think, one thing there, Athena, people do lean towards let's just go grab anything that we can. I've seen that happen. This is my second recession here at Procore. And I've dealt with a lot of our clients, the one in 08 and this one now. And there is that just grab what you can mentality. But I think a lot of times you do end up spreading yourself too thin. And you're in the realm of, things you've never done in the past before, which is unfamiliar territory for a lot of folks. And maybe doubling down on the specialization that you do well is probably a much better route to take. I guess on the, I know, Athena, you addressed this for 1 second. Are you guys evaluating new technology during this? It sounded like you made a switch from Zoom to Teams. I guess how is this impacting the tech stack within the company, and how have you leaned on technology during these difficult times?
For us, I think it's honestly been during any good time, right? During when money is excess, and which in construction rarely happens, but when there's extra cash in the bank and you have some time to really evaluate technologies, I think you tend to get bloated. So all of these different technologies pop up to answer all of these different problems, and instead of paying attention to, do we really need 5 different conferencing solutions? No, just because you like Zoom and 20 other people like Teams, it doesn't mean that we're going to have 2 different types going at any one time. So I do think that in that respect, recessions kind of force you to lean out. They force you to evaluate all your expenditures and pay attention to what's adding value, what's not, what's extra, and what's useful to the organization and what's not. And we actually, my father, hopefully he doesn't watch this, my father's probably the worst offender for adding excess technology. So all of a sudden he'll decide he doesn't like one and then add a new one. And it's, I'm looking at the bill going, do you want to explain what is this? So we actually sat down and built our tech stack, which was a miraculous thing when you see like 10 technologies hanging off to the side that, you know, nobody used except for him. The other 60 employees didn't even know we had it. So it makes us thin out. It made us evaluate what was working, what wasn't, and then consolidate, which was great because we were already using Microsoft Office. We've always been an office-based company, right? All of our email tools, Word, Excel, etc. So to integrate Teams, and then actually we utilized OneDrive as well at the same time and got rid of our servers. All of it, it just made us look at everything and consolidate it down, right? What could be in Procore that wasn't in Procore? What could be linked to Procore that wasn't linked to Procore? So, you know, just the idea that we made a technology stack was like revolutionary for us. And it was to pare everything down.
Bob, did you guys go through any inventory exercise similar to Athena and kind of evaluating what you guys are currently using?
We constantly evaluate, Mark. I mean, one of our three uniques is technology. And so as we show up, we say culture, relationships, and technology are our three uniques. So technology, I think, nod to Procore, the fact that you guys have built this amazing platform that we can operate our entire business on, and then it links in with accounting software and links in with other software that we use. You guys introduced us to Slack, which is the channel that we use when we do a Zoom meeting. It's our entire team logs in on Slack and sends questions and answers through Slack. We have, you know, with these multi-site rollouts that we're doing, we have integrated Airtable and some others that help us take inventory of products that we're bringing in and then distributing out. And so we've added maybe 4 new technologies since March.
Okay.
And we're pretty, like, they have to add value. We get pitched all the time on new technology. And there are times where we have people that we, you know, are close to. If we can't prove it out that it's, you know, we'll sandbox it first. And if we can't figure out how it adds value and is going to make our team smarter and better at delivering projects for our clients, then it's just an extra cost that is a nice to have, and it isn't really moving the needle, if you will.
Got it. Okay. I know we've got just a couple minutes left. I think the question to end here with is the future state. And, you know, as this recession continues, how is your pipeline of future work being impacted? And are there any changes that you're making on your biz dev and marketing side of the house to kind of help out with this? And I guess I'll kick it off to you first, Athena.
Okay. So my function at Athena Engineering is business development. And I am, as is our industry, we are a bit old school in that we are an in-person handshake kind of industry. And it's what I love about this industry. So it's been an adjustment moving to virtual and changing the way that we interact with our clients. And, you know, really a big part of building automation is front end demonstrations, right? Demonstrating what the graphics look like to a client, demonstrating what you're going to be able to do for them, et cetera, with a new building automation system. And with that being said, you know, transitioning that to virtual was an interesting change for me. So I've had to learn new skills in that respect. And that's me personally as a business developer. And, you know, interestingly enough, we are lucky in that as a mechanical, there's a new focus on mechanical systems that really, quite honestly, should have been there a long time ago. But, you know, the introduction of UV lights and additional filtration and duct cleaning, all of these things that are necessary really all the time, but are now even more necessary. So our pipeline hasn't had a huge impact. We've in fact, we're much busier than we were prior to the pandemic. But that doesn't change the fact that I'm always sitting here waiting for the other shoe to drop. Yeah. And by that, I mean, you know, making sure contingency planning, making sure that the backlog is full. And that's been our challenge. And Bob and I talked about this previously, really filling the backlog is the problem. You know, that our backlog went from 6 months and now it's 3 months. So trying to make sure that, you know, we're looking towards that future. and reworking what we're doing in order to make sure we have enough stuff that's in the design pipeline to continue on, because that I think is a challenge across the industry. Backlog is shortened substantially.
Yeah, definitely. How about you guys, Bob? How is this impacting your future work?
It's no doubt it's impacting. We've built a pretty nice backlog for next year. We had some work from this year that moved into next year. I think things that we're doing to kind of hopefully recession proof, again, pivoting to where the clients need us, building business lines around that. The other thing we're doing is, a good mentor of mine told me business development is 50% internal and 50% external. It's rallying our team around the fact that they are problem solvers for clients, and that each and every one of us, whether we're in accounting or we're a laborer on a job site or a carpenter or a superintendent or the founder of the company or a project manager, we all have something that we can offer in the way of a solution to a client. So it's getting out there and having conversations. We have intentionally built pods of folks to share kind of mind share and then go out and explore opportunities that maybe we didn't were missing, or that were just there that we weren't really paying attention to before. So
Got it.
trying to be smarter about business development.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I want to thank both of you. I know we're right about time. I consider the two of you titans in this industry, and I know that that there's a lot of folks that are looking for answers. No one has all the answers, but I think we all lean on each other, and somewhere in there, we're going to find the right solutions. So I want to thank both of you for taking the time to join me today on this. I want to thank both of you for being long-term Procore clients. I like I said, I think I've known both of you for almost about 10 years each, back when I was selling Procore. And we were a much smaller company. And I know that both of your companies have had extreme success and a lot of growth. And I think that's a testament to the leadership that the two of you provide your teams. So thank you very much. And thanks for everybody that's out there watching this today, and hope the rest of you have a great ground break. And, although we can't see each other in person, at least we're able to see each other here.
Thank you for having me.
All right. See you guys.
All right. Thank you.